Hello and welcome back. In today's video we are going to be making some cucumber relish. I am going to be using the ball blue book for home canning. It's got a lot of good recipes in it that I like to use. So we're going to be making the cucumber relish that's on page 49. So what we're going to need is cucumbers. We've got lots of them from the garden. And it's about 8 medium ones. We will need 4 red peppers, 4 green peppers, some medium onion, some turmeric, allspice, some cinnamon, cloves, mustard seed, brown sugar, and some vinegar. First, we're going to start by chopping up all our vegetables. So we've got this nice little chopper here that we're going to use. It is the Mueller brand. I got it off of Amazon. I just put the chopping one in. It comes with so many attachments, different blades, slicing, chopping, whatever you need. So we're going to use this.
Alright, so first we'll start with the onions. We're going to need 1 cup chopped. Alright, and now we're going to need 1 cup of green peppers. The green peppers are straight from the garden. And then we're going to use some red peppers and orange peppers to make it nice and colorful. So we will be using 2 cups of the red and orange peppers. Alright, so now we're going to need 2 quarts of chopped cucumber, and you will need to slice the cucumbers before putting it in here because it only cuts in the one direction, but it's really fast and simple to do. So this is 1 quart. These cucumbers smell amazing. They are fresh from the garden.
Here's what it looks like, all chopped up.
Alright, we will need 1 tablespoon of ground turmeric. Sprinkle it over the vegetables and mix it in well. If you have a larger bowl, I would suggest that. Mine is filled with potato salad right now, so I'm just using this one. That looks so nice. Alright, so you'll need 1/4 cup of salt dissolved in cold water, and you will need 2 quarts of water. Alright, then pour the 2 quarts of cold salt water over all the vegetables. So mix it all up well and make sure everything's covered.
Alright, so we're going to let this sit for 3 to 4 hours and then we'll be on to the next step.
Alright, now we will put it in a strainer and we will rinse it really well with cold water. Once it is rinsed off, put it in some cold water and let it sit for 1 hour. Alright, now dump it into a strainer and we are going to give it one last rinse off and we will let it drain while we work on the brine. Now we will add 1 quart of white vinegar. Make sure it is 5% acidity. Now we will add 2 cups of brown sugar to the vinegar, and we will stir until it's dissolved. Alright, my camera had turned off, so I made a spice sack, and you can use a flour sack or a cheesecloth, and in it you're going to put 2 sticks of cinnamon, 1 tablespoon mustard seed, 2 teaspoons of whole allspice, and 2 teaspoons of whole cloves. And then you're going to tie it up in your sack and put it in your pot. And you'll bring this to a boil. Alright, so we got the spice sack in there and we're just going to bring this up to a boil. I'm just going to stir it a little bit, and if you could only smell this, it smells wonderful, almost like hot apple cider on a nice fall day. So the brine came to a boil and I put it into a measuring cup And then I put the vegetables into the pot. The colors are just beautiful in this. All right, so now let's take that brine and pour it over the vegetables. And then we will mix it in well, cover the pot, and it's going to sit for 12 to 18 hours in a cool place. And then we will come back and do the next step.
Okay, so it's been almost 18 hours. So, all right, look at that. It's got a nice color of all the spices. So what we're gonna do now is we gotta get this back up to boiling. All right, well that's coming up to a boil. We're gonna get our hot water bath canner going. So we need to fill this with water. So we'll get this filled. We'll fill it about halfway with water. And another trick, we have hard water here, even though it goes through several filters and a water softener. It still has a lot of calcium in it, so you don't get that gray film on the outside of your jars. We're just going to add a splash of vinegar. Alright, so this is now boiling, and I turn the heat off, and now we can put them into our sterilized jars. I put my jars into the dishwasher to make sure they're nice and clean and sterilized before I can with them. So these are hot and ready to go. You don't want to put hot vegetables into a cold jar. So these are all warm, nice and hot from the dishwasher, so they're good to go. We're going to need funnel, and that will help get the relish into the jars. I just have a chopstick. I know they make tools where you can make sure you get all the air bubbles out. A chopstick works just fine too. And a little measuring device. I'll take my ladle here. We're just going to ladle it into the jars. It says that it calls for 6. It'll make 6 pints. I washed 7 jars just to be just to be safe. I have clean ones. And we're leaving a 1/4 inch headspace. So a 1/4 inch headspace. This here is about 1 inch, so not much room in there. What's nice about this little tool that I have here, you can get this on Amazon or anywhere where they sell canning supplies, but it tells you different measurements here, so 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, etc. So you can also use that too. Just take your little chopstick or whatever device you have, poke it down there. You want to make sure you get all of the bubbles out. If there's a bubble left in there, once this starts getting sealed up, it can explode. You can see I still have a lot that I could fill it up with. I'm at about 3/4. So I would say this recipe makes 5 pints. So then you're going to take a wet rag, or you can put vinegar on it. Usually vinegar is a good one to put on there. And remember, these are hot. And we're just going to wash that rim off. You need to make sure that they're extra clean, or they will not seal correctly. Alright, once they're all cleaned off, then you're going to take your lids and put them on. Just make sure that they're clean, no rust. And then you want to just finger tight. Just finger tight. When it starts moving, that's as tight as it needs to be. If you make it too tight, it's going to warp the lid and it won't seal right. So, alright, now that the water is boiling, we're going to put our jars in the water bath canner. All that you need is a large pan, and then you can just put a rack in the bottom of it. You just want to try and keep the jars off the bottom just a little bit. I have my water bath canner that I bought over 20 years ago, and then we're just going to lower it down into the water. So when they're in there, you need at least 1 inch of water above the top of the jars. Okay, so we're gonna cover this and we're gonna wait for this to come back to a boil. All right, so this has been at a boil. It needed to process for 10 minutes once it started boiling. So you have to wait till it starts boiling, and then you set your timer, 10 minutes. And then turn the heat off, and we can take the jars out now. So I have this special jar remover tool. You can get it at any canning area. And use that to pull them out of the water. I like to leave a little bit of space in between them while they cool off. Remember, they are super hot. Alright, so we're just going to let them sit here and cool, and when the jar seals, you will hear a ping. So once I hear 5 pings, I know they are sealed and ready to go. So we'll give this a few hours, maybe even overnight, let it completely cool, and then we will continue on. What we can do is take the rings off. Give them a little test. I'd say most of the time they seal good. It's very rare if it doesn't, if you do it the correct way, but it's always good to check. Perfect. I can either store them with the rings on or the rings off. I usually just keep the rings on unless it's a really acidic food. Then it seems to make the rings rust faster.
Alright.
Like tomatoes. That seems to make them, the tomatoes make them rust fast.
All right, make sure you label them, what they are, and the date they were made. And then you can put them in your pantry and enjoy. Thanks for watching.